Ulonga tabati yada to ye kuma daifa. Inu to ye ko je love bipa. Oba tala, oba takutakun. Zongo eshu, ogun oya osun. Kini sheshe, tan she nile yo. O jalo jara.
Alafia, peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I am your host, Arisha Bami, and we are back, family, with another war report, the real war report for 2026. Man, it's been a little bit too long coming, but we're back in the building with brother Bdell 1014. Peace and blessings, good bro. What's good with you, bro?
How you doing, sir? Glad to be back on the channel, and salute to your audience and your family and everything. So salute to everybody. And we finna make everything make sense. We finna set the record straight tonight.
Man, listen, you already know, man. First and foremost, before we dive in, let me give a shout out to the tribe. Shout out to the new supporters. Shout out to the new channel members. Shout out to the new Patreon members. Shout out to all the new, all the people who are new to the channel. I want to give thanks, appreciation to all of y'all for joining us. Patreon, we got a call coming up Saturday. I got some stuff I'll be putting in there for y'all ASAP, expeditiously. Yeah, and then we lost some people too, man. We lost some tribe members, so I want to give a shout out and a rise in power to some of the tribe members who have dealt with some losses in the family, including myself. But definitely want to give a shout out to everybody. Keep your head up as we get through this rapture, because it's only going to get better, for us spiritual beings, because we're seeing the collapse and the end of the system in the world as we know it. So without further ado, bro, one of the best researchers that I know in the community and the culture, man, let me go ahead and throw you an alley-oop so we can get this party started, bro. So first and foremost, shout out to you and congratulations. I see you knocking on 100K on your channel, man. So I'm looking forward to
appreciate that
100K. And shit, we're gonna keep that thing going till we get to the millions, brother.
Most definitely.
Yes, sir.
Most definitely.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, man. Buckle up, buttercups. We ready? Yeah. Iran, US, Russia, China, World War III. Shout out to Big Chief, man. We haven't had a collective war report in a minute, but we're gonna hopefully get that going soon. But we're here now with this war report, man. So 2026, what we looking at, Bdell? What you say about this this predicament we're in right now?
Well, this is nothing but the blueprint for the Great Purification period, right before you go into the year of 2027, which is the Great Separation. So everything that you see taking place as far as like the geopolitical apparatus is really going through a purifying process, meaning that it has to go through a recalibration system. Now, there's a book that everybody got to read called The Green Book. It talks about the whole reconstruction process once you have the fall of democracy, because democracy in itself is only acclimated to the Piscean Age of darkness. So now we're stepping into the Aquarian Age. The Aquarian Age is only cultivated by the true star, which is the star Polaris. So there is an intrinsic energy that's reversing the whole aspects of the political apparatus and everything that coincides with that whole industry when you're talking about the Trump administration. So you're looking at in real time the collapse of government. So this is why Donald Trump, he's in violation according to Executive Order 13818 and Executive Order 13848, because he's basically in violation of the Uniform Commercial Code of Military Justice. So that means that he's turning America into a police state that actually harmonizes with a technocratic system. So what you see taking place right now in real time, when you're talking about Iran, China, Russia, Israel, and things of that nature, it's nothing but a biblical script that's coinciding with everything, and they try to map it out in a form of prophecy when it's really not prophecy, because the Bible is nothing but a script that's acclimated to scripture. So what I'm saying is like when you go to Ezekiel chapter 38 and chapter 39, it talks about Gog and Magog, because Iran is strategic allies with China and Russia. So all this coincides with the movie Leave the World Behind, when you're talking about the psychological operations and societal total collapse, when you're talking about an EMP attack, and also when you're talking about the whole energetic grid going down. And this also coincides with the movie The Red Dawn, the old one that came out in 1984 and the other one that came out, I think it was in 2010. So all these things that you see taking place in government is actually nothing but a script that's according to the Bible, that is also acclimated to the movie industry, because they got to tell you the truth, because it's a part of the cremation of care ritual.
The cremation of, how you say that? The cremation of what ritual?
The cremation of cares, a ritual that they do at the Bohemian Grove, and it operates through the threefold law. Because when you go to the Bohemian Owl is actually the god of Moloch, and
Right.
Moloch is Baal. Because
Right.
when you go to the H1408 Strong Concordance, God equates to the word Gad, and Gad is Gandrel in the book of Enoch, and Gandrel is actually a nomenclature title for Baal. It's the same entity. It's just different philosophies and different, schools of thoughts.
Right.
So right now, what you're seeing taking place with Iran, they just had the great majority of their leaders, taken down. And
Yeah.
and when you had Qasem Soleimani in the beginning points of 2020 on January 3rd, that was the beginning points of the 7-year tribulation period from 2020 to 2027, because according to the prophecy of popes, it said that's when the world ends. But it's not necessarily the world ending. It's actually the collapse of the Vatican Church, because your true temple, you are the actual church. That is the
Right.
scroll of all, which is the 7 tablets of destiny. So that's what they don't understand, like when it comes to biblical context of people, that's stuck in religion. So the collapse of the church is actually the resurrection of the chosen ones, which is why, I wrote my book, The Sacred Book of the Chosen, because I know that in this time period, the Sacred Book of the Chosen, you had the collapse of government, how you have the collapse of everything that's acclimated to the three-dimensional paradigm. It has to fall because we're stepping into solar cycle 25. We're at the apex of the sun cycle. So that means that, the true light has to reverse the polarity of the inverted darkness, which is connected to Babylonian money magic, Babylonian sex magic, and Babylonian blood magic.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, because that gave me the segue to dive on in, because this all it's all connected, it's all tied together. It's the cause and effect factor. All of it is tied and rooted into the same, symbolism, the same system collapse, everything that we're talking about. But what do you feel like the play or the significance of them dropping the Epstein files in the timeline that they dropped those, all the revelations that's coming out now, because these are things that we've all known. Freedom Master Teacher, being a student of Dr. York, with them eating children, and the cannibalism and the adrenochrones and the drinking the bloods, real life vampires. These motherfuckers really are vampires. Like,
Yep.
so what do you feel like in regards to you? And I know you're a deep researcher. What do you feel like the ultimate goal for them to drop the files at the same time, knowing simultaneously that they were going to get ready to start World War III?
It's a deflection, because what I'm saying, this war cannot necessarily erase the whole aspect of the Epstein files, because what's going on is that they don't want people to know that the Canaanite is the Ashkenazi Jew, and the Ashkenazi Jew that's connected to the Rothschilds bloodline when they signed the Balfour Declaration of 1918 and stole the whole landmass from the Palestinians. Because and actually the Palestinians, they're Philistines. They're not even acclimated to that landmass, because that landmass don't even belong to them as well. But
Right.
everything that you see taking place with the Epstein files is really, the war in itself is a deflection. That's all it is. Because if they know that if people disconnect themselves from the veneration of world leaders and political figures, that's when you're going to have the whole societal collapse happen in totality, because
Right.
we will no longer believe inside of the American dream, basically.
Yeah. Or the nightmare, whichever way you want to look at it. So look, that's the way I see it. Because if you look like me, it ain't really no dream. You know what I mean? Because there's a whole
Right.
lot that goes into that. And then that goes into too. I feel like one of the things that, and it's funny, I had a solo show I think last week where I was talking about the economy and how I was looking at the numbers and crunching the numbers on how this economy is looking, and it's crazy because I think at that point, it was like a week or two ago, it was over 300 and some thousand, I want to say, melanated people who are out of work right now in the economy. And then a lot of it being targeted, saturated with the feminine, the divine feminine with the female. So what do you feel like, is the target for why this administration is not only targeting, of course, they want to, I feel like, cripple the melanated experience, in regards to us, which they've been trying to do that. But why do you feel like they're targeting the divine feminine at this particular point in time?
Because they know that if you subjugate the energy from a financial level, it'll make the woman operate in her masculine state. Because right now, when you're talking about the resurrection of the matriarch, you're talking about the uprising of the woman. That's why the Prophet Noble Jewel Ali said, he said, you know, you got to uplift fallen humanity. Fallen humanity is the so-called black woman that is under the degraded state, under the, you know, the doctrine of, you know, Western civilization. So right now, what you're seeing taking place right now, they know that the rising of the matriarch is acclimated to the energy of the black woman. So if you subjugate her on the financial level, that's going to keep her in a state of, you know, fight or flight, survival.
Right.
And you know, then at the same time, a lot of these men are not really men no more. There's a reason in the Bible, I forgot what verse it is. They said that 7 women is going to take on the 1 man, because there's not a lot of real men out here at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
They don't possess any type of masculine energy. They don't, you know, perpetuate the energy of stoicism, because they're energetically out of balance. They have a chronic imbalance because, you know, as I tell people all the time, you know, they supplicate your emotions and they transmute it in the form of a weakness. So this is why a lot of people have a weakness for money, cars, clothes, everything that's connected to the 3-dimensional apparatus of what I call the Metatronic overlay. So it's another way to keep you inverted by way of emotions. So that's why I said the black woman, you know, the so-called black woman, you know, they know that when she taps into her true energy, that's when you're going to have a cosmic pendulum to where energy expands and returns to itself, to where you have the reversing of the polarity of the patriarchal system.
Yeah. And you know, that's all by design too, man, because you can go all the way back to, you know, the 60s when they started the whole civil rights movement and the, you know what I'm saying, the feminist movement and all that stuff. It was divide and conquer. So they've been working on, you know, completing that mission of keeping us separated for a while now, ever since like maybe like the 60s, I want to say, when they started, you know, offering those programs through the Alphabet Boys, where they had like, you know, what was it, welfare and WIC and, you know, so all these different types of programs that they implemented, or Section 8, you know, all these things they implemented in order to divide the black family, you know, the divide and conquer method, because they wanted us to be divided, because you figure the only way you're really going to have a strong nation is by having strong families. The only way you have a strong community is by having strong families. So you got to have a strong family to have a strong community. You got to have a strong community to have a strong nation, you know what I'm saying, a strong culture. So this has been a strategy they've been employing for decades now, you know what I mean, in order to do that. And then you have the people online that I feel like they're using as agents or as plants, you know what I'm saying, who is like kind of like fueling the bullshit division factor of masculine and feminine energy as well. So it's a lot that we got to look into in regards of like eliminating that thought process, because I personally don't really see the division that I feel like so many people are trying to make it seem like it's a real thing. I know it's out there, but at the same time, I could wholeheartedly say I know just as many strong united couples, you know, that I do as single people too. But I know it is a what do you call it, a deficit when it comes to the female to, you know what I'm saying, male ratio, especially in America, probably globally, but in America for sure. So that's
and
something
also,
that
also esoterically, from a numerical component, Donald Trump is the 47th president, but that's only subjected to the 47 prime of Euclid, which is equated to man, woman, and child, that creates the queen mother seed. So there's a reason why when you're talking about the whole economy and things of that nature, it's a universal structure to keep to put the black woman back into her original balance, because the financial infrastructure is what made her masculine. Oh, I don't need no man. I'm making $100,000 a year. I'm making $200,000 a year. Oh, I got this Section 8. I don't need no man. Now that you got to pull the plug from the matrix to where you tap back into the original energy, to where you have to need a man, to where the man needs a woman and the woman needs the man. And that's how you build sustainable, you know, kingdoms and golden ages.
Facts. Yes, sir. No, that's a real thing. So let me ask you this, because this is one of the topics we were supposed to get into today too. When we talk about the 7-year tribulation, right? So yesterday, after we spoke, when we had to reschedule, I did a little study and I dug into my holy tablets, and you know, I studied some work. But when you talk about the 7-year tribulation, does that align with the 7 thunders and the 7 plagues, or are those two totally different scenarios?
I think the whole ecological crisis also coincides with that whole aspect as well, because like I tell people all the time, the pole shift starts with you. The 7 thunders cannot activate until you activate, because the scroll of all is the 7 energy cortexes, which is the human chakra system. So when you have the ability to unlock yourself, that's when you tap into the scroll of all. And the scroll of all is how you unlock the ethers. The ethers has the ability to cause physical destruction. Physical destruction is facilitated by spiritual energy that's transmuted from the cosmos. So when you wake up, that's when the pole shift happens. That's when you're going to have the Phoenix event. I just had a dream last night. I kid you not, that the sun had a blue electrical energy. It was like blue electricity, like the sun was like bright yellow, but it had electricity going around it. But in my opinion, I think that's the Phoenix event that can happen during the time of 2043, because 2043 is acclimated to the 9, and 9 is the activation of non-ether, because the ether in itself is a form of biogamma radiation that harmonizes with the 7 energy cortexes. It's an energy. And the only way to do that is tapping into your true authentic energy. This is why I think, from my opinion, in my own independent research, I think that 2026 is going to be the last year where you're going to have authenticity. Why? Because they're trying to disconnect people, from being able to write. Because if you can't write, you can't think. If you can't think, they're going to put a system in play to think for you, which is artificial intelligence. So this is why I tell people all the time, think for yourself while it's still legal to. You got to think for yourself, because that's the only way that you unlock and reverse the polarity of everything that was cultivated by the Piscean Age of darkness. So when you're talking about the 7 thunders in itself, it happens when you wake up. It happens when you unlock those energies in the 7 energy cortexes that's acclimated to the endocrine system. So you got to unlock yourself. So that's also the trial. That's also the tribulation period, because when you look at the prefix of the word tribulation, you get tri. Tri means 3. So the 7 energy cortexes cannot be activated until you activate the hypothalamus gland, the thymus gland, and the thyroid gland. You got to unlock those keys. And the thymus gland is acclimated to the 144,000 echinic keys.
Yes, sir.
So you got to be open from the heart space. So you got to be energetically balanced when you're talking about the 42 laws of Mayat and things of that nature. So your heart got to be as light as a feather. There's a movie that came out over the summer, Jurassic Park, and they said that the 85% of the world had a heart disease. So they went inside of Hollow Earth, and then they had to extract some DNA from this dinosaur called the Cortosaurus. But the Cortosaurus is actually Quetzalcoatl, and Quetzalcoatl is actually Tahuti, who was Thoth, which is also acclimated to the heart chakra. So you got to be open from the heart space in order to, receive these new energies that's coming from the cosmos.
Yeah. That's deep that you said you had a dream about the sun and the blue, right? Because shout out to the Queen Mothers who was on last week, OJ Yemi and HP Ma'at, because man, it was powerful, bro. Like they HP Ma'at, both of them really, they do what I would call I would say like a cosmic birth certificate, right? And they're able to tap into like the Olmecan and the Mayan calendars, and they give you like your kin number. So are you familiar with all that? Like the kin number and the energy wave, like the like your signs as far as like tapping into the cosmic calendar of the Mayans.
No, I haven't really gotten. I ain't got into that yet, but
bro,
I'm still learning. I'm still learning, so I'm gonna
plug you in with them, bro, because it was deep, man. We had a dope show last week, and it blew my mind, man. And the fact of the matter that you said that, like right now we're in a blue storm. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that blue is all tied. It's all astrological too. All of it's astrological. Like that's how we get it. It's like, to me, it's the equivalent of you getting, like, we all have our fingerprints, right? You have a unique independent fingerprint for every person in the world. So when you get your kin number, that's a unique energetic spiritual signature that I will equate to like a birth certificate spiritually. You know what I mean? It's dope. But long story short, we're in this thing right now, which brings in that color blue. And it's funny because before we got on, I was literally just talking about, when you talk about the blue Kachina, right? I don't know if that was you or somebody else I was talking to about the blue Kachina when it went behind, the Atlas 31, when it went behind the sun and it turned either from red to blue or blue to red. Was that you I was talking to about that?
No, we haven't talked about 3-eye Atlas.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, what's your opinion on that? Because I know you talk about the blue star Kachina and red star Kachina, all that. What do you think about the parallels between the Kachina stars and then this 31 Atlas?
When you're talking about 3-eye Atlas, you're actually talking about DNA upgrade, because it's acclimated to the 3-1 Atlas vertebrae that gives an etheric combustion to the 33rd vertebrae, which is the Christ energy. So when you're talking about actual, celestial megastructure or whatever, It's actually talking about you being the Christ device in order to tap into the Christ consciousness. So it's not necessary, in my opinion, like there is, you know, celestial motherships and things of that nature and shams, but I don't think it's, when you're talking about 3-1 Atlas, 3-eye Atlas, you're actually talking about the structure of the body and how it's getting, you know, getting activated. So like 3-1 Atlas is the 3-1 Atlas vertebrae. And then there's another comet that is also coincides with 3-eye Atlas. It's the K1 Atlas, and K1 Atlas is the Kether, and the Kether is the crown. So that's when you tap into the olfactory nerve, where you get inside the memory bank when you're talking about the activation of the hippocampus layer of the brain. Because your memory in itself is how you crystallize. How you crystallize the magnetites and the dendrites in the brain, which creates geometric energy fields around the body. So crystallization happens when you activate. So the 3-eye Atlas and Blue Star and Red Star Kachina, you know, all that stuff goes hand in hand, you know, because the celestial bodies in itself harmonizes with the carbon body, because the carbon body in itself is photovoltaic. So just like when you're talking about Superman, or when you're talking about Dr. York's, a lot of his philosophy, because Dr. York, he was talking about Utu, Apsu, and Shamish. Those are the 3 suns. So when you have the red sun and the blue sun conjoining with the yellow sun, and it harmonizes with the black sun, which is you, the carbonated being, that's when you become Superman. That's why Superman's garments is acclimated to the red star Kachina, blue star Kachina, and the yellow sun. And you got the pyramid with the serpent, which is a representation of Kundalini activation. So that's why they was talking about Leviathan, because Leviathan is not necessarily a dragon. The dragon is within your genetical structure. So that's why I was telling people all the time, you know, they thought that there was a dragon when that's really the Scotia plate. Remember that they were talking about the dragon and everything?
So
that's
TikTok,
why
I went viral on TikTok and all that. And then what was they saying it was located? I can't remember where they said it was located at, but I do remember all the hoopla about it.
But yeah, because that's why I tell people, you know, you got to study geography. It was really the Scotia plate. But there is the dragon is within you. You are the beast that they actually fear.
You know what I'm
saying? That's what it is. You are the beast that they actually fear, and they don't want you to tap into that Christ energy, because they know if that happens, this is when you get what's that guy's name?
Simeon Toko.
Simeon Toko.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I was talking about him not too long ago.
Yeah, he said that there's going to be millions of us. I wouldn't say millions. It's going to be thousands, because it's only going to be a certain people who's going to be able to tap into that energy.
That's facts. Yeah, and it's so funny because I can't remember which show I was on. I don't know if it was a solo show. I had a guest. I think it was solo, because I was talking about this. That have you seen the series Supercell on Netflix?
Yeah, I did a breakdown on it.
Okay, so that right there, to me, I feel like that's where, when we start to really see everybody start to elevate and tap in like that, I feel like that's what we're going to see, something similar to that. But Simeon Toko was real life that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they tried to kill that man how many times and it didn't work?
They chopped his body up in like
flew to different places on the planet. And dumped it off, and my boy still regenerated. But then, you know, that goes back to, and this is something I remember that, like when I first found your channel, when you had came across my algorithm, you know, prior to us meeting, like mid last year, I think it was, when we got introduced. But I had just ran across your channel not even a few weeks before that, which was funny how the alignment happened. But I remember the very first one that I saw, you were talking about, I can't remember the name of the organization, but how they were, all these billionaires, you might say the Epstein class, was going out in deep sea and like hunting down mermaids, and like they were capturing mermaids, and they were, you know, they were eating them. They were eating them, trying to take on that regenerative, you know what I'm saying, state, or trying to, you know, I guess somehow, I don't know how they thought that was going to happen, but trying to eat the mermaids so they can kind of take on, ingest and digest the powers of the mermaid to try to make themselves, I guess, to be regenerative. But how do you feel, because you were the first person I seen talking about that, how do you feel about that, and then what we're seeing now that's being revealed in these Epstein files in regards to them eating children and the cannibalism? They're saying that Ellen DeGeneres, you know, was eating her ex-wife or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you feel like they're trying to do the same thing with the cannibalism that they were trying to do, you know, with the mermaids?
Oh, most definitely, because the great majority of people in politics, they come from the bloodline of the Canaanite. Most of the people, it's a monarchy system. That whole monarchy system in itself is connected to Count Dracula. Count Dracula was a real person, where they get the whole aspect of Count Dracula. So these are the black hats. And the black hats are acclimated to satanic energy. There's a movie you got to watch called, I'm pretty sure you've seen it already, Bram Stoker's Dracula.
I know I've seen one of the Draculas. I'm not sure which one though, but I did see, because they made a couple of them right recently.
It's the most original one, and it shows you how he was in the beginning of the movie. It shows you how he was taking the Moors and he was, you know, impaling them, because his other name is Vladimir the Impaler. Yeah, so he used to impale them, but they don't really show you the whole story in the movie. But you know, Count Dracula, it shows you the inception point of his bloodline and how they was doing a lot of blood magic and things of that nature. But it shows you who his true form. When he's in a human form, he wears the tall black hat. These people are nothing but black hats. Those are Satanists, and they're subjected to cannibalism. They just stopped eating. It was just this became a law in 1970, I think, where they stopped eating black people. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to read the book, the Delectable Negro. So and they believe, you know what I'm saying, you was able to harness the power of you know, so-called black people. And then you have the Egyptian mummy craze, where they was eating mummies. And then you also when you look at the word cannibal, you get Canaanite, cannibalism, cannibal. So that's another way to spill blood to have some type of dominion on the planet. So it's kind of like an energy exchange. And also the reason why they used to eat the mermaids is the same aspects of the genetical format of a starfish, because if you cut a starfish in half, it's going to grow into another one. So the mermaids, they had immortalized cell lines. So they thought maybe, like, if I eat the energy of the mermaid or eat the energy of these mummies and these black people, I can harness that same energy. But they don't know that they're basically cursed. So this is why I tell people all the time, there's a diametrical difference between man and mankind. See, mankind is a kind of a man that was genetically spiced in 4086 BC on the island of Patmos, according to the Bible. So the Canaanite, they get their energy from blood. We get our energy from the sun. So that's why I tell people there's a difference between people and entities. That's why the year 2027 is the year of separation, the year of the goat and the sheep. And the sheep is acclimated to the lamb, and the lamb is the chosen people.
Bro, that's so funny. I promise you, I just said that. Like, I don't even know if I uploaded that show yet, but I just said that. And it's funny because I can't remember how we got into that part of the conversation, but I do remember saying the difference between human and mankind, right? There's two totally different entities, right?
We're not the same, bro.
The way I broke it down is like human, you know, we do, you know what I'm saying? Our hair grows up towards the sun. We coil towards the sun with the 9 ether. Like you said, we being fed by the sun. Like, but the 6 ether, mankind, their hair grows directly down to the earth, because, you know what I'm saying? And that's the dynamic, you know, shift between the two of them, with them having the lack of melanin or no melanin, you know what I'm saying? And us having melanin and being sun people, and them being those that come from the, you know, Neanderthal, I would say, DNA bloodline, you know, origin of that nature. So yeah, that's dope. We just were talking about that, man. But you said you dropped some jewels, man. That Superman was dope. That was a dope analogy. I like that one. So,
Superman, that was Jesse Owens. You know that, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that because during the time Hitler, when he was doing stuff with a lot of genetic hybridization, and he was creating clones, Hitler, he put those clones inside, you know, it's a rumor that's going on, but I really believe it happened. In the Olympics, you know, he put those clones, those like super soldiers, and Jesse Owens beat all of them, and he was considering him to be like the Superman.
Wow. I didn't know that. That's deep. Let me ask you this, because since he came up, I know he had a lot to do with a lot of the things, the explorations and all those things that took place in like Antarctica and the North South Pole, whatever. So what do you feel like is the real deal behind this Greenland thing? Like, what do you feel like their objective is for them, you know, going after Greenland the way they are now?
Well, when you talking about AI, you're really talking about Arctic ice, because underneath the Arctic ice is the motherboard. The motherboard that harmonizes with the magnetosphere to where you pull intelligence down, because Greenland is the crown chakra of Earth that is connected to Turtle Island. So that's why Donald Trump, he wants that geographical landmass so bad, to the point where he wants to build smart cities. They want to build an energetic grid over there in that geographical area. So that's why he wants it so bad. And also, there's an island over there. You got the land of magnets called the Rupert Negra. and that's where you get the whole aspect of Black Rock, and it's connected to Lamb Island. And there's a guy, I forgot his name. He said he was friends with Donald Trump, but it shows you like in the background there's a rainbow that was like he said it's always a rainbow in that geographical area, and he said it's being energized by those land of magnets or whatever. That's what he said, but you all know how true that is. But
now, I'm wondering what you're saying that now. I'm wondering if any of that ties into the Aurora Borealis, because you know, so it does. So all that kind of ties together.
I'm pretty sure it does to a certain aspect, but the Aurora Borealis is really cultivated by the activation of telluric patterns, because a metaphysical nomenclature title for planet Earth is telluric, because when the telluric patterns hit the magnetic field, that's when you get a burst of energy, gamma radiation, which is the Aurora Borealis.
Yeah, that's deep, man. That's real deep. So in regards to him trying to get access to that, let's just say, like, what is the reason that he's trying to act? Like, what do you feel like his ulterior motive, or, you know what I'm saying, like the inspiration of him wanting to try to take that out, or take that piece of land?
Because he knows that the chosen ones were a microcosm of the macrocosm. So if you subjugate that landmass, that also subjugates our neurological functions as well. So that's why I talk about the suprachiasmatic nucleus, because you have a clock inside your brain, which keeps you boxed inside the system. So that's why they want to implement Neuralink, because Neuralink in itself is trying to mimic the energy of the brain and central nervous system melanin, which is the neuromelanin. So they know that God is actually the mind. I mean, God is the mind. So if you subjugate that geographical landmass, that also puts an encryption over your neurological faculties as well, because because it's not going to make us harmonize with that landmass.
Right.
That's what that's all about.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a disconnection of energy.
Yeah, and that's why they're so heavy with the, you know, the social media, and then the what are those glasses, those VR glasses from Meta. I forgot the name of them. What's the name of them goggles or glasses, whatever they're called?
They call it VR.
Yeah, they want us to live in the virtual world, which unfortunately a lot of us already are. You know what I'm saying? Like tapped in like zombies, you know, constantly on the phone. And matter of fact, I'm pretty sure you probably saw it, but did you see that he's being sued by like over 2,000 parents who were suing him for their children, you know, dealing with mental health issues based upon them being addicted to social media. And then also, I believe that they found proof of something about having mind control technology within the app that, you know what I'm saying, is deteriorating the mental health of a lot of these young people who are using the app. Did you see anything about that story?
Yeah, I seen something about it. I didn't really get into it because it was just kind of like I already knew. But the thing is the blue light. The blue light is what subjugates the two frontal lobes of the brain to where it keeps you in a state of zombification. So it makes you like, this is why a lot of people, they doom scroll. They be on their phone all day just scrolling. They don't know why, but it's the blue light.
It's a real thing.
During the time of the so-called scamdemic, remember they was putting up all those blue lights. Because that blue light is what subjugates the mind. It keeps you in a state of conformity.
Yeah, it's a real thing, bro. That's why I gotta wear my glasses now, because I wear these specifically just to block the blue rays, because I notice the difference when I wear them, because especially if I'm spending a lot of time on the computer. If I don't wear them, I can feel the difference between when I do wear them. So it's like, now I gotta make myself wear them pretty much anytime I'm on the computer, just to make sure I'm blocking all that from coming in. And then I don't know if you've ever seen it or paid attention to it, but even some of my devices, when I charge my devices at night, I have to cover them up with something, because there's a blue ray that, you know, say a blue beam that blinks from some of my devices, whether it's the phone, or the watch, or the, you know, saying that the Bluetooth or whatever. So it's like they're constantly trying to inundate us with these blue beams and these blue lights, it seems like.
Most definitely.
Yeah, that's deep.
But that's why he wants Greenland so much, because the motherboard is connected to the magnetosphere. And that's what activates the Kether, or the crown of that geographical area. Greenland is the crown chakra of planet Earth.
Wow. And then now when we talk about, back to the war report, the sleeper cells, I'm pretty sure you probably seen the situation in Austin. I think now we definitely spoke about that. Well, I think like Saturday or whenever it was, when we were speaking about the possibilities of these sleeper cells and all this foolishness, you know, unfolding. That was right before they struck too. I think when we spoke, it was right before this. I don't know if it was right before or right after they struck. I can't remember which one, but it was like we knew it was going to happen. So what do you feel like we should be preparing for or expecting when it comes to the activation of these sleeper cells?
stay away from big crowds, man, during this time period, or just move strategically during this time period. Because I put out a list. It's a 17 city list, but it's the great majority of all the big cities. And it speaks of all these sleeper cells being activated. And from my opinion, the great majority of the the ones that control the gas stations, you got to be very critical, because the most of these sleeper cells, they just waiting on a phone call. They waiting on that damn phone call. That's all they doing. Because when I was working as an engineer at this place called Berry Plastics, I used to build extruder machines, and I used to build them up and break them down. And I used to see some of the assembly line people coming in, and some of these guys, they look like military. They from the Middle East, and it was different demographics, and they coming in with military boots. And I'm like, I said, where you? I'm on my lunch break. I'm like, where you from? I was like, you in the military? And one just looked at me like I was like crazy, and he just kind of like walked off. But like, because I know when somebody's in the military. I can tell. So some of them just really just waiting to be activated, waiting on that phone call.
Yeah, it's a real thing, man. And, it's funny, you triggered something in my mind. I remember years ago, back when I was working for a company, I was a truck driver, and I remember delivering on a base, and it was crazy because even in military installations, I feel like they got sleeper cells who have been able to get access into military installations, because I know for a fact, I'll never forget one time I was in the they call it the shopette or the BX, right? The main exchange. And then they have the one that I was in, they have like a food court. And so I'm in this food court and I'm eating, and I'm in a regular uniform for a company. They ain't sponsoring, so I ain't calling them. But and then I saw another dude who was actually, I believe he was active duty, but he wasn't in uniform. But I could tell he was in the military. But there was a dude in there who looked real suspect and suspicious. So I'm one of them people, like, anytime I'm in any room, I'm always my head on a swivel. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
That's just how I move. I don't care if I'm in church. I could be in the delivery room for a baby being born. I'm still, I got my head on a swivel. But it's like I'm peeping this dude, and he looked like a real suspect. And so me and the other dude who was in plain clothes, we kind of like peeped each other and like, I saw that too. You know what I'm saying? But it was like we both was keeping our eye on him because he looked like he was about to try to make something pop off. So it's like it's a really interesting time. And I say all that to say too, when it comes back to the sleeper cells, and especially the Middle Eastern looking folks, there's a lot of them that are always in mid to lower class neighborhoods that are always in corner stores, no matter what. I don't know what it is, why they only choose those demographics, but they always are on corner stores damn near everywhere I go. You know what I'm saying? Like they own the corner store. So if they're on damn near every corner in a vast majority of, neighborhoods, what is that telling us in regards to, the possibility of them actually activating and blowing some ish up?
I know, right? And a lot of them is connected to that Chaldean bloodline. And another thing I want to, reiterate to people, don't be so love and light that you lose your dark side. Because at the same time, you got to protect yourself. I keep my thing on me all the time. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm tapped in at the same time, but I'm always, I'm on point too. So because you cannot negate that you live in the physical world where you have mentally crazy people. You know what I'm saying? You can be out at Fresh Time getting some groceries, the Fresh Market, Walmart, wherever the case may be, and then some sleeper cells get activated while you're there. So that's why I said, do not lose your dark side. If you don't know how to, shoot a gun, learn how to shoot one. In case something happens.
Yes. Yeah, especially right now, man. Like the number one thing that we need to be focusing on is being able to communicate with our loved ones, and sometimes you might not be able to do that with devices. So that's where meditation comes into play. That's where, what I'm saying, like literally practicing on, how to communicate telepathically, because I know it's a real thing. I do it with my dogs. You know what I mean? It's like I do it, and I do it with people. Like sometimes I'll think about a person, they'll call me, or I'll think about a person, they'll text me, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? It happens all the time, actually. Sometimes my phone can alert and a text will go off, and I'll know who it is before I even look at it. And sure enough, it's who I thought it was. Bro. I'm talking about
telepathy coming in.
Yeah, it happens all the time too. But to me, I feel like that goes back to tapping in. You know what I'm saying? Like meditating and just really being conscientious of tapping into spirit, or just getting in the habit of being mindful. You know what I'm saying? Practicing mindfulness, which is just unplugging from all the hoopla and just sitting with self. You know what I'm saying? And just tapping into spirit and just listening, to the universe. And
then on top of that, they just had a sleeper cell that was activated in Texas.
Yeah,
Austin,
I think it was
Texas.
Austin. Yeah,
And
yeah,
see that, and I believe that was a psychological operation because they made him look like a so-called black person.
yeah. I saw
And
that.
then it had on his shirt "Property of Allah." So they're gonna be coming for a lot of black Muslims,
Yeah,
maybe even Moors,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Anybody
So
who wears any type of head covering, that's part of your, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like I feel like that within itself too. That's just another opportunity for them to try that too.
yep.
Wow. Yeah, man. It's a lot. It's definitely a lot. Now when we talk about where we are with the war, I was looking at some of the projections in regards to, like, I saw the stock market crash, well, not crash, but went down significantly today. And what's the name of that strait? The Strait of Hormuz or something like that over there where Iran is at, where they attacked the Iranians. Is the Strait of Hormuz? Is that what the name of it's called?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, bro. I'm looking at that. If they keep that thing locked up, it's gonna get real ugly real quick for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and they got money. They got money to go to war.
Right.
They already launched off missiles at 13 different cities. So they got money to go to war.
Right.
And I don't know why people get this perception that this thing is over. It's not over.
No,
it's not over. It's a part of the play.
Yes. And it's not good either, because we the one thing I'm concerned about is if they get to the point where they want to start fucking with them nukes. Because if they start doing that, then it really is. You know what I'm saying? This is it. Because I mean, at the end of the day, every time that they've tried to do something with the nukes as of late, as far as what I've been able to see in research, like the ETs came and shut it down. You know what I'm saying? Like, it got shut down expeditiously. So I look at, like, now, if you know there's threats of war, you know that they're talking about playing with them nukes. I'm wondering, we're going to see some of them ships show up over the White House again, because that did happen back in July of 1952. I'm not sure how many people are aware of it, but they definitely came and showed up and sat there for about a week, if I'm not mistaken, just to let them know, like, yeah, we ain't doing that. And then they do it at all their nuke sites too. But I'm interested to see how this thing turns out, man. What do you feel about the potential of them possibly starting to play with the nukes?
It can happen, according to the documentation that came out with the United Kingdom on January of 2025. They said in the documentation that the millisecond that America acknowledges extraterrestrial life, that's when you're going to have the collapse of the banking system. But when you're talking about extraterrestrials or aliens, you're really talking about a foreign militarized group such as Iran. In law, because alien in law means a foreign militarized group. So when you're talking about the acknowledgement of aliens, that's how I know that's when they're going to attack the energetic grid system and shut down the power grid. So when you're talking about, according to the World Economic Forum and the Council of Foreign Relations, they've been putting out documentation saying that Iran is a threat to the power grid. So this is a real thing. So when you're talking about an alien threat, yes, there are, interdimensional, outer dimensional entities, but you're actually talking about a militarized group that's coming from the Middle East. That's what that's talking about.
Right. Yeah, and that's real. No, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, that's all I had to say with that.
Yeah, no, that's real though, man. And like I said, I see it all the time too. It's crazy, because I'm not sure how many people really are paying attention to how many of those potential or possible stupid cells that they have in this country. And what blows my mind too is the way that they have the immigration system set up for other people to come from other countries. They actually set them up with an alley-oop to come here and be successful. You know what I'm saying? Like, they give them a whole lot of different types of incentives to come here. So to me, it's
Democrats
like
open up them borders.
Yeah, it's like you funding your own demise is what it seemed like to me, for real.
In fact, matter of fact, Obama gave $1.7 billion to Iran. He funded them, for militarized weapons. I think that was back in 2020. Yep.
You said Iran?
Yep, he gave Iran $1.7 billion. He funded their whole militarized, weaponry and things of that nature.
Wow.
So a lot of that stuff is being cultivated by the deep state shadow government. So a lot of the sleeper cells that came in, and when they had the expansion of borders, that's because of the Democrats.
Right.
And Obama, he's a part of the deep state shadow government, and he was, funding Iran. So, and then he also was the executive producer for the movie Leave the World Behind, where you have the grid collapsed.
I knew that. Yep.
Yeah. So this is nothing but a script that's being played out.
So let me ask you this, because I personally just started like really paying attention to politics based upon like where we are right now. I kind of got downloads from Spirit, like you got to tap into that, because I never really paid no attention to it whatsoever. But now I am, because I feel like where we are is something that you do have to kind of be, I would say, analytical about in regards to everyday life, just to see, keep a pulse on what's happening. So when we talk about the government, and then we talk about the deep state, who exactly are we talking about? Because to me, it looks like from the outside looking in, and somebody who hasn't done a whole lot of research in that particular space, it looks like they're having a civil war within. It's deeper than the Democrats and Republicans. Clearly, I know that, and I'm sure everybody else does. So but when we talk about who Trump is and who he's representing, if I'm not mistaken, we spoke about before that he's a double agent, because he's working for Israel as well as some other entities. So when we're talking about this deep state, and we're talking about the Democrats and the Republicans and all them, how does that all play with the the narrative of who is actually at war with who when it comes to this thing called the United States Corporation of America?
Well, when you're talking about the deep state, you're really talking about the fallacy of democracy, because democracy is nothing but a demonstrative government. So the fraud is acclimated to the corporation. When you go to Uniform Commercial Code Title 18, it says that America is not a country, it's a corporation. So the corporate infrastructure in itself is what controls the financial system. It controls the movie industry, music industry, all these things. So this is why you're looking at the reversing of polarity of everything that's connected to those industries. So when you're talking about the fall of the deep state, you're really talking about the fall of the three-dimensional world in totality that was controlled by democracy. So because democracy in itself is nothing but the illusion of progressiveness. That's all it is. So it's kind of like the same thing. Like, well, they create laws, be like, well, we're evolving. A man can dress up as a woman and go to the bathroom, go to the women's room. So we're progressing as a people, because we all just love everybody. Because when you have that type of ideology, that means that you don't have any type of boundaries. When you don't have any boundaries, that means that you can let any type of energy in. Because one thing you got to understand about the universe, everything moves on a logistical principle. Everything has structure, everything has boundaries. So that means that the world that we live in is supposed to have the same structure. So so that's what that's all about. Democracy is nothing but demonic rulership. Because when you look at the word democracy, the suffix of the word it becomes krasi. Krasi is equated to Chronos, and Chronos is chronology. And Chronos, the god of Saturn, is acclimated to Baal, Moloch. So this is why the deep state, they was doing a lot of human trafficking, drug trafficking, because that's what holds up this whole infrastructure of the United States government. This is why the cartel. For instance, like the Caritas International Networking System of the Vatican Bank, they gave $3 billion to the Vatican. No, the Vatican gave $3 billion to the cartel to pump drugs into the Americas, right? Just like the city where I live at, this is the #1 distribution for methamphetamine, and my city was also on the Epstein files.
We got that here too, man. There's certain parts. Pinellas County down in Central Florida, Pinellas County is a very, very heavily saturated area with that foolishness, for real.
Saturn is also Remfram, and Remfram is Yaldabaoth and Gnosticism. Yep.
Okay. So okay. All right. Let me think. So now when we talk about the fall of the system, right? And I see how this files, I saw how over there in England they supposedly arrested the prince's brother, whatever his name was. And then I saw the former, I think, prime minister or somebody else was supposedly had gotten arrested and all that. But they're all in cahoots, right? You got the Vatican, you got the so-called palace, and then you got this crap we got here called the White House. All of them are three-headed monster, all working, in unison, right? So we talk about the tri-systems, the trinary. That's the trinary system as well. So when we're looking at what's happening now, how do we decode or decipher who is who in between these three infrastructures, and then where do we see any type of, some sort of combat against them all to fall? We talk about the Vatican, talk about England, talk about America.
Well, again, according to the prophecy of popes, 2027, that's the end of the age. That's the close of the age. Right there. That's the close of the age. And the Vatican Church knows this because that's the fall. That is the fall of the 3 city states in totality.
Right.
When you look at Washington, D.C., when you look at the geographical area on the map or whatever, D.C. is not on there. It just says Washington. And then they took the seal off Buckingham Palace when the Queen died. So that's the fall of that. And then 2027 is the fall of the church. So next year, you're going to see a lot of people stepping away from religion.
It's already happening, man. It's happening now. Yeah, it's definitely happening for sure. I see a lot of that.
But it's gonna be more intrinsic.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So when it comes to the whole files thing, and you know what? And I thought about it too. I meant to pull it up, like pull up some like screenshots of that book. But the book, The Last President by Ingersoll. I want to say his name was Ingersoll. I was studying that
Ingersoll Lockwood.
Yeah, there you go. Ingersoll Lockwood. I was just looking that up yesterday too. So a lot of us feel like that's the case right now. So is that the case in regards to why Trump is doing all this? Of course, to avoid the Epstein files, but also when it comes to, I feel like, the psyop of that book, The Last President. How does that tie into where we are now with what we're seeing right now with him?
Well, he's definitely going to be the last president. And the reason that is because he has qualified immunity through the continuity of government. So that means that he can activate martial law at any time, because right now, America is no longer a democracy, because it's operating from constitutional law, which is military law. Military law is common law, and common law is acclimated to the land. So this is why he signed that second Declaration of Independence on July the 20th of July the 4th.
Now, was that in 2020?
Yeah, he did that in 2020. Yep. So you're looking at the resurrection of the new republic. So that's why I say he's a double agent. Yes, he's doing good things, but he's also with the swamp. He's being controlled by, Bibi Netanyahu and his whole regime.
So what happens? Like, who is Netanyahu is clearly his handler, right? But who else is he working for then? Because if he's a double agent, of course he reports to Netanyahu. But who else is who's the other handler?
Pepe Orsini, who is the Great Pope.
Is that the Black Pope?
No, the Great Pope.
The Gray Pope. So how many different ones? I only knew of the Black Pope and then the one.
Yeah, you got a white Pope, a Black Pope, and a Gray Pope, and you also got a pink Pope. Yeah.
So who, like, how does that hierarchy go between the four of them? Like, which one is at the top?
I think the Gray Pope is the highest because he can control both factions. Yes. Yeah, so he controls the dark and the light side.
What?
Yeah.
I'd never heard of him before. You said he's the Gray Pope. How you say his name again?
Pepe Orsini, the Orsini family.
That sounds like some mob shit. Okay, Pepe Orsini. I'm gonna have to research.
I think he's the Gray Pope, or he may be the Black Pope. But I know Pepe Orsini is one of the, he's the one who controls the great majority of that whole infrastructure.
Got you.
And then you also. Their handlers are just like in the movie when you watch They Clone Tyrone. At the end of the movie, they showed you how they had these Albion Europeans controlling everything in the movie. But behind the scenes, when you get to the end of the movie, it was a black man. It was a black man controlling the whole operation. So the black nobility is a coalition of black people who is controlling the Ashkenazi Jew, who also controls Donald Trump.
Yeah. Okay. So now I see. The correlation. So now he's being pimped by the Vatican, by the Orsini dude, and then he's also being pimped by the black nobility through the Ashkenazis. Yeah. Okay.
So that's how it goes. So you got the black nobility, and then you have Pepe Orsini, then you got Bibi Netanyahu, then you got Donald Trump, and then you got deep state entities and alphabet organizations. That's pretty much the whole infrastructure right there.
Gotcha. Yeah, now that makes sense. Now I see it. That makes sense. And because how long? So that must have been, because I don't know if it's still on YouTube now. They pulled it down, but I do know about maybe 5-6 years ago. So I'm thinking it might have been either prior to 2020 or around 2020 when Trump actually converted, when he went over there and he had the little Sufi thing on, and he touched the wall and all that foolishness and all that. So that was when all this actually took place, when he went. It looked like he had like some sort of initiation rites or something that went down into their whatever you want to call it. I don't know if it's a religion, but whatever.
Yeah, they try to hide that picture. I got that picture saved on my computer.
Yeah, because I don't know if it's still out there. Yeah, because it
Yeah.
was on there. Yeah, there was videos of it and there was pictures of it, but I don't know if it's still on the internet or not, 'cause I haven't seen anything with it lately.
That's why I say you can't. How you gonna drain the swamp if you in bed with him?
Right. Right.
So that's why I say he's a double agent. He's playing fifth dimensional chess, big time.
Yeah, buddy. Oh man. Okay. So where do you see the whole economy thing? If the war continues to go, I know it's gonna get ugly real quick. What do you feel like the timeline is that we're looking at in regards to how long this thing is gonna last?
I think we're looking at some type of inside job, kind of like a 9/11 event, because Donald Trump, he's the 45th president and the 47th president. So in essence, when you look at the numerical components, he's really the 9/11 president. So it's going to be a 9/11 event that's going to happen on his watch because of everything that's taking place with Iran and Russia and China. And then you cannot forget those 3 solar eclipses from 2017, 2023, and 2024. And that put an ancient Hebrew Alpha symbol over America, which is a judgment symbol.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because in 2023, or one of the two, 2023 or 24, one of those solar eclipses went through 9 cities called Nineveh. And Nineveh is a nomenclature title for Babylon because it was connected to the Assyrian Empire, and modern day Babylon is America. Jonah chapter 3, verse 5, it says, Nineveh shall be overthrown. Babylon shall be overthrown, America. And it can only be overthrown when you have the shutting down of the economic system, when you have the shutting down of the whole grid. So I think it's going to be an EMP attack that's going to happen pretty soon.
Now, when you say EMP,
because it just makes logical sense, because they're not going to be like, hey, this is you only got 2 weeks left before you spend paper money, and then we got to shut down and go to the digital system. Nah, I think it's going to be, you got to shut it down with an EMP, and then they're going to implement the new system. So that's why I tell people we got about 4 years left before you be able to divorce yourself from the digital prison.
And now when you say EMP, can you break that down for those who may not know what the acronym is?
EMP is a electromagnetic post efficiency. So it's basically like some type of weaponry that has the ability to destabilize the grid system that controls all forms of technology. So this is another thing. If you have the finances to do it, get you a vehicle get you a vehicle that was made before the year of 1975. Because that you'll be able to operate it because it doesn't have any type of technology to it.
Yeah. And it's funny because I was just talking about that. I forgot who it was. It might have been my pops, but I was talking about that with somebody because all this technology, there's a reason for that. You know what I mean? Because the technology is always pros and cons. You know what I mean? And so for me, if you have these, especially when it comes to like the Teslas and all these smart cars and all, all this cool, all they gotta do is shut it down and hit the switch, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Then where you gonna go? Then how, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna move. But at the same time though, if the fuel is gone because they done blew up all the damn oil reserves, like, you know what I'm saying, it still kind of put us in a very similar situation. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's definitely a lot.
And that's another reason why they build bunkers, because they know they can't leave. The Canaanite doesn't have the genetical faculties to pierce the firmament. You know what I'm saying? Because that's when you got to read this book right here called The Flower of Life.
Hold on, let me highlight.
Flower of Life by Giovanni Melchizedek. It talks about the whole crystallization of the whole your I forgot what it called, the
pituitary gland.
The embryonic cell. Once it crystallizes all throughout your body, that's when you activate the flower of life. The flower of life is really the embodiment of the tetrahedron within you. So this is what I'm saying. Like, you basically turn into a spaceship. You turn into the Macabre.
Yeah,
you turn into that light ship.
I think matter of fact, I might have the picture because I got the book pulled up from studying yesterday. Let me see if I can pull it up, if I can find it real quick. But with that being said, I think I do have it somewhere. But with that being said, when you talk about like the whole Oh shit, I can't find it. I'll look for it. I'll look for it. But when you talk about like the ability to get out of here, right? I know for a fact we can do it, even just with astral projection. But when it comes to this great, let's say the great mass exodus, right? Doc talks about, you know, the mothership coming, and I want to say around 2030, right? So do you feel like, and from your you know, you being a student of his and a lot of the studies that you've done, do you feel like we're talking about an actual mothership craft that's going to come, or do you feel like it's the ability to manifest the activation of becoming Superman or Superwoman within to be able to then ascend, you know what I'm saying, and to be able to check up out of this thing?
I think it's a bit of both, because he also talks about 2043, and that's when that is 13 years from 2030. So that's a matriarchal number. So when you have the mothership, the mothership is over the firmament, basically, but because the firmament is going to break open, and once it breaks open, that sky ice in itself, that's when you're going to be able to tap into your true abilities and things of that nature, such as psychometry, clairvoyance, intuition, telepathy, levitation. So that, you know, that in itself is what, you know, putting the firmament over the planet is another way. It's a spiritual cutoff. That's all it is. It's nothing but spiritual cutoff to where you cannot leave. Your higher abilities is connected to your hippocampus layer of the brain or your Bathari gland. Because when you look at the word Bathari, when you look at the word Bathari, it means it take you to a different space and time in a cuneiform language. So so when you're talking about the mothership, you know, yes, we have the ability to, you know, pierce the firmament if we have the ability to activate our genetical faculties or whatever. But I think it's one of those things where you're gonna be you're gonna need outside help, such as the mothership.
Gotcha.
It's kind of like the mothership in itself is going to give an intrinsic energy to those who's open to receive that type of frequency.
Right. Yep. Yeah, it's funny because that's what I was talking about that earlier, literally about how, you know, when that happens, like that's when you got to be right. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can't have the same low vibrational frequency type thoughts and actions, you know what I'm saying, energy and all that, because you won't be able to tap in and elevate to that frequency to be able to activate, you know, that Merkaba. You know what I mean? So that's just a real stuff.
And the only way to do it is to heal. You got to heal. You know what I'm saying? Because right now we're going through a purification period, because sometimes the universe is going to put your ass through a mess just to clean you up. So you got to clean up your thoughts. You got to clean up your physiology. You got to clean up your mindset. So right now, you know, you got to lock in, and you got to use your emotions as a navigation system and be in alignment. And once you put yourself in alignment, just like you just had the aligning of the planets, you know, on February 28th, this is the time where you shouldn't be chasing nothing. So this is why I said you don't chase, you know, vibration. You become the stimulation. That vibration becomes magnetism, because a lion doesn't chase its prey. It's the prey that walks in the path of the lion. So once you have the ability to put yourself in alignment, that's when you become that guide, your higher self, or the Sahu body.
Facts. Yes, sir. Yeah, that's a big fact. I couldn't find that. I'm gonna try to find it. I couldn't find it. But I was just looking at it yesterday too. But it's funny that you said that, because I had that in my notes talking about the Bartholin gland. Like when were humans cut? When was that gland cut off in regards to us as people?
I think that's connected to the Tower of Babel story.
Gotcha.
Because the Tower, I think, because the Tower of Babel, I think it's the motor cortex gland of the brain that is also connected to the Bathari gland. It looks like the Tower of Babel, and it's a form of spiritual cutoff. Because if you notice during that time period when the Tower of Babel, when it fell, that's when people started babbling in different languages. Because before then, you was tapped into telepathy. You had one universal language. Everything was activated. So that's a fact.
It's funny. I was just talking about that, and because if you think about it, when you talk about like the elevated, you know, higher life forms, especially when you talk about like consciousness, like we are through the audio or audible, you know, verbal communication. That's like the lowest form of communication. You know, the high civilizations with the advanced beings and, you know, the high frequency beings all communicated through telepathy. There wasn't no, you know, saying words and all that. It was because we were able to tap in by, you know, just sending messages and thoughts through telepathy. So it's a real thing, man. I mean, I feel like a lot of us can still do it. A lot of us are doing it, especially the females. But it's a real thing that we can all tap into if we know we just work on it. I feel like.
Yep.
That's what's up.
Definitely got to work on yourself during this time.
Yeah.
This is the time to do it.
That's facts.
Mind, body, and spirit. That's the real Israel.
Yes, sir. So with the ley lines, how do I know ley lines are always an intricate part to what's going on the planet, you know, when, where, and why. How do any of these sites or any of these locations with this war, are any of those involved with ley lines, or do ley lines play any role into anything that we're seeing in regards to this whole conflict?
Yeah and no at the same time. And like I'm not sure, but I think Iran is kind of close to the 33rd parallel, I believe. I'm not sure. And I know the another reason why, you know, they going to war with Iran and things of that nature. There's a Stargate in over there. It could be a rumor or whatever, but I haven't really looked deep into it. But they said it's something is about a Stargate.
There's something I can't remember where it's at. It's funny that you say that, because I remember when Dr. Valentine was on here, I remember asking him, because somehow we got into the topic of I think we got into Iraq, and I remember saying that I had heard that there was a Stargate in Iraq, but I believe he said Iraq wasn't the Stargate. I think they were. I can't remember what he said, so I don't want to misspeak. But I almost want to say he was saying that they went to I think get access to Gilgamesh, like to find the body or the tomb of Gilgamesh is what, you know what I'm saying, they were actually looking for. But I've heard, you know, that there was a Stargate in Iraq, but I remember asking him that question, and he said, nah, it's not a Stargate there. He said the Stargate is the sun. I do remember that part. He said the sun is the Stargate, you know what I mean? But I forgot what it was he said exactly that they went to get when they went into Iraq, but it wasn't the Stargate, but it was something else he said they went in there to get. I can't remember what it was. Yeah. Yeah, that's deep. That's real deep. Okay, so so right now, what do we have for the family in regards to preparation? Because we definitely are right now in World War III, and it's funny because we started last year with the war reports, you know, leading up into, you know, preparing for this moment in time. So we definitely need to focus on food, clothing, shelter, and protection. But how does that happen? Let's just say, for the sake of worst case scenario, you know, I'm a very positive thinker. I think, you know, with the positive mindset and all that, but at the same time, you got to be diligent. So let's say worst case scenario, the shit hits the fan, no technology, no, you know, no stores, no nothing. What do we tell the people or share with the tribe in regards to being prepared?
Try to fast as much as possible, to where if shit do hit the fan, you won't be, you know, so dependent on food. So that's when you tap into ultra fast internal conversion. So that's another way to where you able to eat through the energy of the sun, and it's just really, you know, teaching yourself to be not to be dependent on food, and just, you know, get your ammunition up, get your money up, because how you gonna go to war and you ain't got no money?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So try to, you know, I know a lot of people don't want to work and stuff like that, but we're in a time period right now. You got to get those finances up, get you some ammunition, you know what I'm saying, get some food aside, set that aside, and get you some gold and get you some silver, because you can use it as a placeholder in the next timeline.
Yeah, and gold literally, I saw this today. As a matter of fact, last week on the show, I was saying how it was rising up to the highest, one of the highest points in time in all time. But now, if I'm not mistaken, today it actually hit the world's all-time high with like over $5,000 a pound, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, an ounce, if I'm not mistaken.
That's crazy, because like you said, the stock market went down today, and then you had a rising of the gold
and silver. Silver too.
Yeah,
silver went up.
silver. Yeah, silver is pretty. It was pretty cheap maybe like a month ago, but I still believe, you know what I'm saying, get you some gold and get you some silver. Yep.
Where would you recommend? Where would you recommend getting gold and silver from? In regards to, like, you know, trying to find some.
They got websites online. I forgot the website. Let me see. This is where my dad, he gets his gold and silver from, and he's got me some.
That's what's up.
Yeah. Let me see.
Shout out to Miss Melina 220.
Well, I can't find it, but yeah. But salute,
okay.
Salute to your tribe. Salute to your tribe.
Oh yeah, all day, every day, man. I appreciate your family for sure. I'm a if you do get it, if you can send it to me, I'll definitely share it on the channel too, because I know people probably gonna be hitting me in the comments. Yo, what's up with that link? Where can we get the gold and silver? So I definitely share that with y'all once we do find it. But shout out to Miss Melina 220. She said Pepe Orsini or Pietro Francisco Orsini was not a great pope, but rather the Pope Benedict the 13th, who reigned from 1724 to 1730.
Okay.
Is that so? Okay, and yeah, the goddess Goddess, I am. T3 says is black nobility. Yes. You want to hit that
Yeah,
one, Bdell?
yeah, because they're black Canaanites. Because
Mm.
before you had the white Canaanite, you had the black Canaanite.
Mm.
Because you get the recessive from the dominant, you don't get the dominant from the recessive. So when you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about the genetic splicing program, when you're talking about Yaqub, he created those entities. He started with the dark beings, and then that's when he created the Albion European.
Mm. Yep, that's facts. It's funny. I was just reading that story last night too. In the Holy Tablet. Yeah, that's a real thing. How much time you got, Bdell? I know we had a certain time that you had to be off, but how much more?
Just about an hour and about 20 more minutes.
20 more. Okay, cool. So
Yeah,
I'm
I gotta
gonna
get my son in bed and all that.
got you. Okay, so I'm gonna see if I can bring up a couple of these questions because I was starting them off for the tribe. You know, while we were going, I want to see if I can get a couple of them in. Empress G, I think we hit this earlier, but I think the question might have came after, so they might not have been on with us when we hit it. But Empress G says, do you think the guy who did the shooting in Texas was a sleeper cell?
I don't think he was a sleeper cell. I think that was a psychological operation that was cultivated by the CIA. It's another way to basically, destabilize, the growth of so-called black people because he looks like a melanated, so-called black person. So it's just another way to, connect that perception with us.
Yep.
And then be like, oh, he looks just like them. Let's go after them. Or
Yeah.
another way to come after the black Muslims who live in America, so.
Yeah. And we got conflict in, debate, a healthy debate in the comments about the Great Pope. Because Black Eye Order says that Pepe was the Great Pope. Miss Melina said it wasn't, but and we know Google doesn't always have everything accurate. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But at the end of the day,
I got a book that demonstrates it, but it's in the room, but I remember reading it because I got a lot of books. I got books all over the damn place.
Listen,
But
look, I got them all over too.
Yeah. So
look, digital version, paperback. Okay. Let me see. Slim Salam 4577 says blood moon eclipse tonight. I thought it was tomorrow. Is that tonight or tomorrow night?
It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow night? Okay.
Yeah.
But they want to know what's your thoughts on the eclipse.
Well, they said it's supposed to come out around it's gonna be on March 3rd, which is a 33 at 3:33 a.m. You see what I'm saying? So it's showing you everything that's taking place. Like it can be a sacrificial thing. I think 2026 is gonna in the springtime. You're gonna see a lot of sacrifices. I can feel it. I can feel it. Yeah, I can feel it because in order, it's kind of like the same. You ever watched the movie Cabin in the Woods?
I don't know if I've seen that one. I don't think I saw that one.
Where you had the puppeteers. They needed a sacrifice. They had to have 5 different archetypes that they had to sacrifice in order to have some type of dominion on the planet. Otherwise, their world would basically end. So I'm thinking. So in this time period, I think we living in that corresponds with the celestial bodies. I think that's going to happen in real time. So you're going to really see a lot of entertainers. Like big time entertainers, like young ones. Yeah,
that's happening now. Unfortunately, look, and some of the older ones too, because there's a guy who's affiliated with The Rock that this looking like some rocks about to hit him upside his rock, because the way they're saying that all these files are exposing a lot of stuff that he's tied into, so we're gonna see a whole lot of that going on. What are your thoughts? Because I feel like it's probably true, but what are your thoughts on Epstein? Do you feel like he's a reptilian?
No, I think he's into the occult. I think he was being used as a catalyst to harvest the energy of the children and people and to have an energy exchange with the draconian reptilians because Epstein Island was by the Bermuda Triangle. And according to Dr. York's, a lot of his publications, he said that there is a draconian base where the Bermuda Triangle is at. So I think, and it shows you in the files on he was dumping the bodies in the water. Like he'd do whatever he do with them, and then he'd dump them in the water.
Yeah, and they even have footage, if I'm not mistaken, too, of like some type of like little shoot to where he had a spot where he would do that. Like you could literally, you could be in one of the mansions or whatever, and it was like a chute, like where you could open it up and it went right to the ocean. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that makes sense. That's crazy.
I got a book. I also got a book. It talks about how these corporations that's connected to, like, you know, cemeteries or whatever, the reason why they put you 6 feet deep or whatever, that's another mechanism for the body snatchers to snatch you out. Like Draconians, supposedly they snatch them out of the coffins after a certain time period underground. You ever seen the movie Midnight Meat Train?
I think I seen that one. Nah, I ain't see that one.
Yeah, in the movie Midnight Meat Train, it's basically a movie about how this guy, he had a pact with these with entities or whatever, and he was also working for the corporation, and he had taken them into these underground bases in New York City where you have the train stations at, and these draconian entities, they had start feeding on people. Kind of like the same concept of Ninja Turtles when they eating the pizza.
Yes. Man, look, and it's funny, I was going to do a whole video on that alone, because when you talk about, I call it subliminal seduction, but when you talk about psyops and you talk about predictive programming and all things of that nature, they've been doing that with these goddamn cartoons since we were little. You know what I mean? Like, for real, because the Mutant Turtles are literally, I feel like that is, you know what I'm saying, this whole Epstein, you know, group of elites. Like, you're talking about turtles who were supposed to be reptiles, who live underground, who, you know what I'm saying, they love pizza, and then you correlate that. So that was code word for all these goddamn nasty ass pedophiles. You know what I'm saying? Pizza was like some of their code words in regards to them, you know, ordering pizza. Like they ordering children, just like, you know what I mean? It's disgusting. Like it really is. But that was something that I actually was putting together for a solo show, man. Like that whole concept of the metaphors, you know, metaphors that we see, you know what I'm saying, in regards to what they're showing in the entertainment industry, in regards to, especially with the children. Like it's disgusting.
I think Peter Nygaard was a draconian reptilian.
I know that. Oh yeah. He looked like a vampire. Is that the one like a vampire?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looked real young, but ever since they shut down the adrenochrome factories or whatever, exposing of the Epstein files, you can tell his whole genetical structure is starting to change up.
Wow. And that was the one that was the owner of what was he the owner of? Like a major fashion company or something like that? Yeah, I saw
That's
that
guy on that video. He was asking,
trying to barter with the sisters for their organs or something like that, or for their yeah, I saw that. Yeah, it's crazy. Like for real, it's nuts. It really is, man. Like, yeah,
they're literally vampires.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The truth is so hard to believe. It's unbelievable.
If you watch the beginning of the movie Vampire in Brooklyn, they tell you the inception of the story. It tells you about, because that in the movie Vampire in Brooklyn, Maximilian, he was a representation of the first black Canaanite hybrid draconian. Because in the beginning of the story, it tells you how they was kicked out of Egypt. It tells you how they was kicked out of Spain and how they was kicked out of Europe. You gotta, in the first beginning parts of the movie, watch that first part. Yep.
Wow.
Maximilian was a Moor. He was a Moor. He was a Moor that basically implemented, you know, certain parts of religion or whatever, and made contracts. You know what I'm saying? Just like me and Rod Hayes, we demonstrated the diametrical difference between a Moor and the state of Morocco.
Yeah. I got to finish that one too, because it's funny. I had started watching it Saturday night when I got home from my event. I had tapped into it. I got to finish it because y'all was going in on that one for sure. And that was something too that I would like to get into if we got the time. Is like, because a lot of people hear about the Dirty Moors, a lot of people, you know about the Dirty Moors, a lot of people know about the Moors, but just for the sake of time, if you can you give us a quick breakdown of the difference between the Dirty Moors and then the more, you know, the righteous Moors? And so that way, for those who are new to your work or new to the channel who haven't heard us discuss this before, what's the fundamental difference between the Dirty Moors and the righteous Moors?
Well, the state of Morocco wasn't implemented until the year of 1917. And then when you're talking about a Mer and a Moor is connected to the autochthonous people, which is the indigenous people that's connected to the 5 civilized tribes, according to the 1848 Supreme Court decision that happened on June 6th. And then when you're talking about the Blackamoors are the ones that took us outside of our sovereign capacity with the religion, because they made pacts with and contracts and covenants with the Albion European.
And those are the ones.
It's really that simple.
Right. And those are the ones that reside in Switzerland, right? If I'm not mistaken.
You had some in Switzerland, but you also had some in Spain too.
Got you.
Yeah.
Now, were those the Moors who pretty much like cleaned up and domesticated, you know, the Europeans that were in Spain?
See, a lot of people are on the fence about that, but some of
Right.
them, you know, a lot of people believe that, you know, those Moors are the ones who gave the edification to the Europeans to overthrow us. Because Christopher Columbus, when according to when you get into the ideology of the European during that time period, they didn't have any type of philosophy of maritime law, so they couldn't
Right.
circumnavigate the seas.
Right.
They was too primitive. You know what I'm saying? So he had Moors on a boat that was circumnavigating the seas, and they came over to the Americas, and they started to break contracts and treaties. You know what I'm saying? So that's when they try to come up the $5 Indian and signing their names on the Dallas Commission and all that stuff. All that stuff coincides with each other, you know. So
yeah, it's deep, man. That's what's up. Well, shoot, I know we're running close on time now, man. So I'm not gonna hold you past time to take care of the young king. But if you got time for like maybe 1 or 2 more questions, real quick for the tribe, I'll drop those, and then we can get about this thing, man, and you know, hopefully get it, you know, get it cracking again in the near future, brother.
yeah, hey, I'm glad you asked some great questions. You be asking the right questions, you know. So I like that.
Hey, appreciate it, man. It's been too long. We gotta make sure we keep this thing going, man, for real, especially now because it's so much. You know what I mean? And I've been blessed. Like it's been a lot of new, you know, guests coming through from a lot of different, you know, perspectives. Everybody dropping heat and doing it, you know, in their own, you know what I'm saying, dope way. So it's almost like shit. I just get to play point guard for the All-Star team. You know what I mean? Like because so many different people coming through. You know what I'm saying? You can't go wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit, I just throw the no look real quick. Boom, get that. You know, so it's definitely dope. So I'm grateful and thankful, man. I can't complain at all. Let me see. I got Kiko Buffett said, are smart dust, sleep deprivation, chronic dehydration, and deliberate cell tower isolation ingredients for sleeper cell activations? Dropping bars, Kiko.
Well, when you're talking about smart dust particles, you're actually talking about the MQ9 Nano Reaper drone technology. It extracts neurons from the body. So the smart dust particles is also being used as a mechanism to precipitate geoengineered weather. So especially, so he's kind of right with that question. So it's basically in alignment because a lot of those smart dust particles can actually activate certain negative genetical faculties within NPCs. So this is another thing people need to do. Go to the steam room and go to the sauna and sweat out those smart dust particles. Anytime that you see a lot of chemtrails out, the next day, take your ass to the steam room and go to the sauna and sweat it out. You got to sweat it out. Because one thing you got to understand about smart dust particles, it also has the ability to harmonize with the parasites in the body. And the parasites, according to the real parasitical entities, they have the ability to take over your physiology to the point where it can activate a sleeper cell. You can become a sleeper cell. You can basically become a host.
Yes.
If you don't take care of yourself.
Yeah, that's real.
So,
yeah. And flush too, family. Hey, do them cleanses at least like, you know, twice a year, if not quarterly, because that's a real thing too. We got to cleanse and flush our bodies out, boy. Fasting, you know what I'm saying? Whether you want to do intermittent fasting or, you know, however you want to fast, but definitely fast from everything, you know what I mean? From time to time, because even when it comes to, you know, intimacy, you know what I mean? Like you want to fast, especially for those who are in a, you know, in a monogamous relationship. Like if you sleeping with multiple people and all that, that's another way that you taking on a whole nother level of energy that, you know, you don't get rid of that energy. You know what I mean? Like it stays with you, whether you're using protection or not. It's still an energy exchange that, you know, we got to definitely make sure that we protect ourselves that way as well. So it's definitely good to fast, you know, to keep some of those parasites out too, whether it's physical or spiritual parasites. Let me see. I got one more. Let me see. It is Spending My Opinion said, meanwhile, NASA is having technology issues sending people to orbit to the moon. Artemis 2 has been pushed back again to April 26, 2026. I wonder why NASA has so many issues trying to get to the moon. Do you believe they got to the moon?
No. And in fact, NASA in ancient Hebrew means to deceive. So, you know, and then when you look at the symbolism of NASA, when you look at that, it looks like a forked tongue.
Somebody said something about that earlier too in the comments.
So NASA, really, when you're talking about the dark side of the moon, that's when you're talking about the supercomputer, the supercomputer that controls the whole binary code that's acclimated to the gematria system of our reality that also harmonizes with our gematria body. So our gematria body corresponds with the energy of the moon, which is your physical vessel.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's real. All right, family.
Somebody said NASA, never a straight answer. Exactly.
Yeah. look, it reminded me of that meme with the brother during the Aaron Hernandez trial. He was like, he had the bow-legged eyes. They said, look me in my eyes and tell me you're telling me the truth.
Most definitely.
Oh man. And what about Lil Jon's son? Somebody said Lil Jon's son. Do you feel like anything? Is anything tied into all this other stuff? I guess tying into that by any chance?
I don't think that was a sacrifice, because when I look at sacrifices or whatever, it's got to be some type of substance behind it. Right. Like it's got to be a reason. It's got to be some type of reasoning, because Little John, he doesn't make music no more. I don't really see the logic of him trying to sacrifice, because he's not a big time artist. He's not in movies or nothing. He's just a regular person. He's just living off his career basically. Now, if it was somebody like big time, if it was like LeBron, because speaking of LeBron, eventually he's gonna have to shed some blood. He's gonna have to, because he destiny swapped with Kobe Bryant.
That's what that was.
That was a destiny swap.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
That's crazy. Because then he had just went to LA like what? Not too long. That wasn't too long before Kobe transition, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I also
tell people or right after. I can't remember which order that was.
I think it was right after.
So right after Kobe transitions when he went.
Wow. Yep. It's kind of like the same. Remember, we talked on the phone about this. It's kind of like the same thing that Jay-Z does. He destiny swaps with certain artists.
Well, Big L and Biggie actually.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. That's deep. Okay. Yep. I never thought about that though. I never thought about that with LeBron, man. That's crazy. I never thought about that. I guess it was so surreal. You know what's nuts about that? I'll never forget when I got that news when he transitioned to, because shout out to, I gotta see if I can get him on here too. But I had literally just booked the show to bring the brother Reza Islam down here to Florida. And it was right around the time when the Hidden Colors, I can't remember if it was 4 or 5, had came out. Whatever Hidden Colors was his first time being in Hidden Colors. We had just booked him to come down here. And I'll never forget, I was at the venue, checking out the venue for his event. And I got the call that Kobe had transited. I couldn't believe it. I didn't believe it was real. I didn't believe it was true. And then when I looked it up and saw it online, I was like, yo, that's nuts. That's unbelievable. Wow. I never thought about that with LeBron, though. That's crazy. See, I was thinking, because I don't know if you saw the picture with him. I guess he was at a Diddy party when he was in like a nurse's outfit or something like that. He was dressed up. I don't know if it was drag or whatever. But I thought that would have been his. But so I guess they want more from him then, especially if that's the case. That's deep.
Michael Jordan sacrificed his father.
That's crazy, bro. Because I heard about him being, I thought he was like involved with like either not paying up to the mob, or either not throwing a game or something like that with the mob. I thought that was mob related.
Yep. That because the mob is the ones who is interconnected to the deep state shadow government. All the black budget government stuff behind the scenes or whatever, throwing games, human trafficking, drug trafficking. All that stuff is connected to that whole regime. It's a mafia.
Yeah. Yeah, that's deep. And that goes back to the Bitcoin, how Bitcoin came about. Shout out to Dr. Valentine, because Bitcoin was created for them to pretty much maneuver, you know what I'm saying, without having traceable financing. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, this was a good one, man. Right back to right where we left off at, picking up where we left off, man. Last time we was on together, it was a banger, and we picked right back up on. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one, man, for sure. And before we get out of here, you got anything you want to leave with the tribe before we check out of here tonight?
Don't chase nothing. That's another thing. Do not chase nothing during this time period. Just receive. Keep yourself in alignment and just receive. And you know what I'm saying? Especially during the time, this is a time period of Ramadan. Always keep your body in a fasted state. Receive these energies. and just take care of your vessel, take care of your mind, body, and spirit. That's the true Israel. Isis Rael, not them fake people who stole the landmass. So just really keep yourself in alignment and be energetically balanced. That's, you know, that's my philosophy. That's my methodology that I follow. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yes, sir. No, that's what's up. Yeah, no, it was powerful, man, as I knew it would be. So yeah, I definitely give thanks, man, for you chopping it up with me and you know, making it happen. So I definitely want to make sure I get you out here in time to get to the Young King and do the family thing, because I got to get ready to lock in and tap in myself. But man, I definitely appreciate it. And I definitely holler at you, brother, so we can, you know, get together and try to put another one together in the near future, because there's a lot going on. I want to definitely keep the people, you know, fully informed, you know what I mean, and aware, you know, what all's taking place right now, because we're in
definitely gotta get me and Rod back on here.
Listen, I'm gonna holler at him when we get off. It's funny because, you know, I had just got off the phone with him right before we jumped on, and so I'm gonna definitely look to see, you know, hopefully I can set that up with the three of us, you know, to make sure we can get that together expeditiously, because like I said, people been blowing me up on the channel, you know, trying to get y'all, you know, asking for y'all. So I was like, let me go ahead and make these calls, man, and see can I get these brothers together, man, and make this thing happen again. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely holler at him once we get over here, man, and see, you know, when we can make it happen, make it do what it do, and make it be what it be.
I appreciate it, man, and thanks for having me on. And salute to everybody that's connected to your platform. Salute to everybody in the chat. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Likewise, man. I appreciate you. And I'll definitely I'll be in touch, brother. So I'll definitely get with you, you know, see when we can set something up, you know, between me and you and Big Chief again in the very near future. Make it happen as soon as possible.
All right, sounds good to me.
All right, brother. So I'll holler at you. All right. Peace. All right, tribe. I appreciate all y'all for rocking with us tonight, man. So I'm gonna definitely get with everybody in the very near future as well, so we can keep this thing rolling, working on this everyday ashe. So yeah, I've been putting in some work off the scenes, behind the scenes, man, trying to get back clearly with, you know, some people who've already been through and made some big splashes on the channel. It's funny because I had somebody reach out to me, I think recently about Brother Bdell. I'm like, he had already been on the channel, but I guess they were a new tribe member that didn't know that he had been on already. But I definitely look forward to you know, bringing him back, working on getting several other, you know, guests that's been on before back in here, as well as some that haven't been on yet. I'm working to get on the channel as well. So I definitely appreciate all the love, all the support, all the likes, the share, subscribe. Don't forget, family, please like and share and subscribe. And the comments, I saw several comments on the channel that I need to respond to that I'm gonna get the information for. I know somebody was asking for the map that was shared on the last episode with the Queen Mother, so I'm gonna work on putting that in the Patreon family, and then I got a lot of other things in store as well that I look forward to sharing. So we'll definitely be back in the very near future, but I can't thank y'all enough for all the love, support. Don't forget to please like and share, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, hit the like button, because the algorithm's been crazy lately. They're trying to hold us down. They don't want us to get this information out to the people. So it's definitely going to take us, you know, to work together just to beat the algorithm, just by simply hitting the likes and the shares and the subscribe. So we definitely appreciate all y'all, family. Appreciate the love, support, and I'll see y'all in the next episode. We out, family. Peace.
Ẹni tó gbàgbé ilé ṣàpò ìyàgbọ́, tẹ́ǹtì ẹni takísà ní tàtàn, ò bá padà sílé anítìjàkọ, ẹja lọ pé eégún mo ṣe ní gbẹ́rẹ́ ìpàkọ́. Forsake not your ancestors and praise your